Coming to God without faith is like going on hunting without weapon. Will you be able to catch anything? He knows the answer. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6 says, but without faith it is impossible, absolutely impossible to please God. For he who comes to him must believe that he is, and he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. And this passage of the Bible established it firmly that God does not joke with faith, which is why the subject of faith cannot be overemphasized. So, because faith is the bedrock of Christianity, all right? And someone described it this way. He said, faith is like universal currency, all right? Faith is like a currency of which you use to purchase goods in the supermarket. Imagine now going to supermarket to pick items, all right? And I finish picking the items to go out. They expect me to pay money. That money I'm paying is an exchange to go home with those goods I picked in the shelf. If I don't drop money in exchange, I cannot be able to go home with those goods. That is how faith is. If you come to God empty, without faith, you can't get anything. You can't buy from the storehouse of God. It's as simple as that. So coming to buy from the storehouse of God requires your faith. And I want you to understand that this faith are in two levels. Unfortunately, some believers are stuck in the first one. We must understand that God does not joke with faith. In fact, as you are coming unto him, as you are coming to him, everything about God is faith. It's all about faith. Without it, Bible says you cannot please him. Now, if you cannot please God by your faith or with your faith, then why are you with him? Why are you serving him? Why are you still worshiping him? It's of no use. Unfortunately, some believers are stuck in the first faith I want us to look at about now. Some believers are stuck in that number one. But no, it transcends. You have to move from this one to this one. As you proceed, we are going to see how it works. All right? The journey of faith or journey of Christianity is all about faith. And this faith is what you keep learning so that you keep growing in it. The disciples of Jesus said to Jesus, or they asked him, he said, Master, increase our faith. Because they knew how important it is. They knew how important it is to walk in faith, to have this faith. They said, Jesus, increase our faith. So everything you are doing in life, whatever you are doing, make sure that you grow in faith. It transcends. You move from one level to the other. You move from one level to another. You don't stop in the first one. You don't stop in one place. You grow in it. Some people say there is small faith, there is big faith. And some people title it, there is a book that is titled Faith That Moves Mountain. You know the level of that kind of faith. Let's look at the first one. The first one is faith in God. What is faith in God? It means to rely absolutely on God for your survival. Faith in God means to rely absolutely on God. In other words, you are putting all your trust in God. You see, when we got born again, all right, God take us by himself, by his hand, and start nurturing us until we grow. It's just like a new baby and their mother, all right? Once a new baby is born, that baby does not contribute anything to the table to make sure that he survives. Everything is on the mother. That baby is relying on the mother for his or her survival. That is how you see it is when you get born again. You rely on God. All right? You don't expect a new baby to bring anything to the table, to contribute. From day one, the mother will be the one to birth the baby, change the baby's clothes, wash the baby's clothes, feed the baby, prepare the food, feed the baby. All right, that is dependence. That baby is dependent in the mother. That is how it is when we come to God in the first place. We depend on Him. We trust in Him. We look unto Him. We have faith in Him. The faith we have in Him is for Him to do everything for us. That is the first faith, number one faith. And God, absolutely, with your pleasure, will be doing everything for you because you are just like a new baby to Him. Look at the Israelites in the wilderness when they came out of Egypt. All right. Each time they need something, they cry unto God. God said, "Oh, come on, take it." Bible told us they were eating manna. Free this, free that. Even the sandals they wore didn't worn out. Their clothes. What happened? Their faith at that point was in God. God was busy taking care of them, which is why when Moses was about to complain, at a point Moses got angry and said, "What is wrong with you guys?" And God was like, "No, leave them. They are still babies. I'm still nurturing them, just like a new baby. No matter how that baby cries, you can't beat a new baby. You can't kill him or her. When a baby open mouth and cry, hey, the mother jumped on him or her, say, "What is that? I'm here." Take care of the baby. Give the baby what the baby needs at that moment. If it is attention, the mother give the baby the attention. That is how God takes care of us when we have faith in Him from day one. But we must transcend. All right, we must to move. And unfortunately, some believers are stuck in this first one. At a point, God will win you. When God wins you, we now begin to have faith of God. At that moment, God has won you. So if you don't understand how God works, when God wins you, it is not everything He responds to you again. No. Which is why sometimes believers will think that, what have I done? Have I sinned? Why is it that God is no longer responding to me as He used to? No, you have not sinned. Okay? You have not sinned. The issue is that God has weaned you. You should understand that. You should be sensitive to know when God has weaned you and move on. For instance, when I was a baby, all right, my mother takes care of me, all right. She will be the one to bathe me, wash my clothes, prepare my meal, feed me with her hand. All right. Now, good. Now, at this point in time, at this age, if I want to take my bath now, can I call my mother? If I call my mother and say, "Mother, I want to take my bath, come and bathe me," what do you think she will do? She will just smile and walk away. And that is what God do to some of you. There are some things you call God to come and do. God will look at you and smile and walk away. You think that He is silent. He look at you as, "Come on, you've grown past this, man. Come on, you've grown past this." All right. If meal is prepared now and I say to my mother, "Mother, come and feed me," what do you think my mother will do? She will smile. Will she come and be feeding me? No. Some of you are expecting God to come and feed you with His hands. What He has been doing or what He used to do before, you're still expecting Him to be still doing the same today. No. He has weaned you. So when He wins you, He expects you to move on. How do you know He has weaned you? Hebrews chapter 10 verse 38 said something. It said, "Now the just shall live by his faith." Now, then you shall live in His faith. But now, when He has weaned you, you begin to live by your own faith. That means you begin to have faith of God. What does that mean? God's kind of faith. That means you begin to act like God. You begin to do things like God. You begin to take charge by yourself. You don't look unto God again for everything. There are some certain things you call on him. There are some certain things you handle by yourself. Do you get that? Look at the disciples of Jesus. When Jesus was with them, all right, there were things they were not doing. There were things they couldn't do at that moment. I remember vividly a story of a man his son was lunatic, all right, and Bible said, and this man came to Jesus, knelt down, begging Jesus, said, Jesus, please help me, my son is very, very sick. I took him to your disciples, but they were unable. He said, this sickness is severe. Sometimes this sickness throws him into the fire, into the water, and Jesus looked at them and said, bring your son. He looked at the disciples and said, how long will I be with you? When Jesus rebuked that spirit and the spirit left the guy, the disciples of Jesus marveled and came privately to Jesus and said to Jesus, why couldn't we do this? Why couldn't we drive out this demon? Jesus laughed and said, well, it is because of your unbelief. You know, sometimes Jesus answered diplomatically. But the fact remains that when Jesus was with them, their faith, they were having faith in Jesus. But after Jesus has left, they began to have Jesus kind of faith. That is faith of God. You could see massive miracles they performed. You could see the things they did after that incident. So it's important to understand when God has wind you so that you can do what? Move on. Praise the Lord. You move from faith to faith. You move from faith to faith. You grow in it. They said to Jesus, increase our faith. So you grow from faith in God to faith of God. Once that is done, you have becoming assured. And that is what God expects of you. God does not want to be feeding you continually. He wants you to take care of yourself and feed yourself. Take charge. Praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Barry the Great. Thank you for watching.